Welcome back, everyone. Spring and summer is a time for new growth and taking bold action together. So we hope these stories can inspire you to live boldly, take wise chances, and with our friends and family, make a difference together. Today we will be reading A Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne, retold by Billy Aronson. So as we lean in with the spirit of adventure, grab a friend, like Jade here, and let's enjoy the story together. Chapter 10, Moving in Silence. Our explorers find themselves beneath the waves in a whole new way. It was strange and wonderful to wake up the next morning and not be thirsty. After washing down breakfast with water from the Hans River, we continued on our way. Now I was completely confident that we'd reached our destination. Why shouldn't we, with such a talented team? My uncle was a brilliant leader, Hans was a perfect guide, and I was the world's most devoted nephew. How could we fail? Our march led us through narrow tunnels that twisted in all directions, but whichever way they curved, as long as they led down, we had no cause to complain. With our trusty water source at our feet, I felt we could continue forever. On our second day in the maze, we came upon the steepest shaft yet. It went down sharply, twisting around and around like a spiral staircase of rocks. My uncle was thrilled to be descending so quickly. I was nervous about walking down such a jagged staircase. Hans, as always, showed no emotion. He simply got down to business, fastening the rope to rock after rock so we could make our way safely. For 2 days, we went down the spiral staircase. It was so steep that we had to stop every 15 minutes to rub our aching calves. Finally, we came to a much more gentle slope. The path became comfortable, though a little unexciting. What a shame there can't be any interesting scenery to look at, I thought. We moved along in this way for days with very little trouble. We felt strong. We were in perfect health. Our bag of medical supplies haven't even been opened. But then one day, in mid-July, while checking his compass, my uncle made some calculations that alarmed me. It seems we're 21 miles below the surface, he said, and we've got 150 miles southeast of Sneffels. We're not under Iceland anymore, I exclaimed. You're right, my boy, he answered with delight. We're under the open sea. Why did that scare me? What difference did it make that there was a mighty ocean above our heads? Why should it matter whether there were roaring waves above or towering mountains? Whatever was up there, it was resting on a solid granite roof. Safe beneath that roof, we continued to descend. 3 days later, on a Saturday, we came upon a wide cave. My uncle paid Hans his weekly fee and decided that the next day should be a day of rest. I woke on Sunday feeling totally calm. It didn't matter to me anymore that we couldn't see the sun or the stars or the moon. It didn't matter to me that there might be fierce sea storms way above our heads or warships blasting their cannons at one another. Deep in the earth, everything was peaceful. We're 50 miles below the surface now, my uncle revealed. Have you noticed anything strange about the temperature? They're 50 miles below the surface? That's only a small fraction of the 5,000 miles they've got to reach the center. But it's about 49 miles deeper than anybody alive has ever gone, an achievement really worth barking about. I hadn't noticed anything strange about the temperature. It was cool and comfortable, as one could possibly hope. But according to the theory of central heat, by this point, the temperature should have been over 1,000 degrees. Ready to abandon that central heat theory you so adore? Gloated my uncle. But uncle, I argued, it may well be that the earth around us is getting hotter. I believe we're getting protected from that heat by these granite walls. How else would you explain that hot water jet? I'm not talking about the water jet, my uncle snapped back. I'm talking about the fact that we're going straight to the center of the earth without being burned to a crisp. My uncle had an answer for everything. I would never win an argument with him, but that didn't matter very much because if the temperature did shoot up and become unbearable, nothing he said would matter. We would have to just turn back. Axel's right about that. Even the brilliant Professor Lidenbrock couldn't win an argument with a wall of blazing flames. I don't know about that. It just doesn't seem like that's true. During the 2 weeks that followed our day of rest, the tunnel sloped sharply down. We talked less and less each day. Eventually, we became like our guide, silent. We spent whole days without speaking. I hardly remember a thing from this period except for one event I can never forget. It was on August 7th. We were nearly 100 miles below the surface. On that day, our course felt almost flat. We were hardly getting deeper at all. I had been walking in front, carrying one of the lamps so I could examine the walls now and then. At one point, I stopped, turned around, and realized I was alone. I must have been walking too fast, I thought, or maybe the others stopped to rest. I retraced my steps, walking back the way I'd come for 20 minutes or so, but there was no sign of my companions. I called out. My voice bounced all over the cavern. No one answered. I started to shiver and sweat. Stay calm, I said aloud to myself. They have to be here somewhere. I went back up the tunnel for at least a half hour. Every now and then I stopped to call out. The only voice I heard was my own. I stood there trying to think, to reason, to figure out what to do. But I was so frightened, all my thoughts in my brain came crashing against one another. I was in front, I kept telling myself, so they must be behind me. Then I began to wonder, had I really been in front? Was I sure? I took small comfort in one fact, however. Whether they were behind me or ahead of me, they had to be in the same tunnel, somewhere. As long as I stayed along the Hans River, I'd be fine. I reached down for the friendly stream that was about to save my life for the second time. All I found on the ground was hard, dusty granite. I had left the path of the river. I was lost. Lost, for Axel, an already dangerous journey was becoming even more so, and in this story there was no faithful canine companion to guide him back to safety. And that does it for chapter 10. We'll see you soon for chapter 11.